Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vaidya's Chess Hub. And today is our session for the A batch students. By the way, all can join in. Students often ask me, "Sir, is it okay if I join? Is it just strictly for the A batch?" Well, it is not quite that. Now, the thing is that sometimes the B batch guys can find it a little boring because it is of a certain level. But yes, you are free to join the lecture. Now, the thing is, we are going to study the uh, games of tournament standards today, which were miniatures, which has a lot of good content in terms of the moves. And by the way, welcome to all those who are just joining us. There have been people who are with me for the past 15 minutes, but there are people I see now who are joining us. Well, welcome Anay, welcome Ishan, welcome Namish, welcome Manish. All right then. So I think I would just need one confirmation from you that you have your notepad with you. So make sure that you type in yes. Hello Kshitij. Kshitij is here. So I want your notepad ready because we are going to study some important games. But don't write down stuff immediately. I want this to be very clear. Don't write it down the moment the move is played over the board. As usual, I'll give you your countdown timer. I will have my notepad, so I will also write down the moves with you. So that is the way to go. Don't just be hasty writing down the moves. And of course, in between, I might just ask you to find the continuation or the best line. Again, I'll give you time for that. So let me know in the chat if you are all set to begin this lecture. Yes, now Nidhi is here. Tanishk has also joined us. Welcome all. And I think Nadish Gaikwad is also with us. Welcome all. So can we proceed? People are saying yes. So I think it's time for us to dive into the first game for today. And the first game, by the way, is going to be from the black side. So we are going to study, if time permits, we are going to study 4 games depending on the time. The first game will definitely be from the black's perspective and the remaining 3 from the white's perspective. So let's get started straight away. I have it ready. So here is the board, and I will say it again that you don't have to write down the moment the move is played on the board. So I hope you are ready. Let me bring myself. There I am in the bottom right hand corner. You will see me now. I hope you all are ready. And the first move that white played in the game was f4. Now this f4 move, guys, is known as the bird's opening. So it's not a blunder right away. Of course, it's not considered all that great because it opens up the diagonal, especially for the beginners. It opens up this crucial diagonal for the king's safety from that point of view. So it's not great for beginners. So that's why I want you to know from the black side the best response, and this was one of the games that I liked. So I've shortlisted this for you. So f4 is known as the bird's opening. Please remember that name, okay? Bird's opening. So what happened then? How did black respond? Well, he straight away played the move e5. It is an okay move to play. Even if you put this in the engine, they'll say it's not all that bad. It's a gambit. Because white is careless about the diagonal, the black decides to fight immediately and e5. Well, in the game, of course, white took the pawn and black immediately wanted to attack the pawn and win it back. So black played d6. So in fact, it's a gambit now. He's clearly offering another pawn. In the process, what black has managed to do is to open up the diagonal for the bishop. And of course, his queen is ready to come into action. His bishop can come in and join the action. So this looks good already. So we are done with the first 2 moves, and now time for us to probably get our notepad. There is our notepad, and it is now time for us to write down. So let me also write down. The first move that was played was f4. Black responded with the move e5. White, of course, was very happy to take on e5, and black has offered another pawn on d6. Guys, please make sure that you are writing it down. I'm going to wait probably for a minute. No need for the countdown timer. Just make sure that you're writing it. Okay. Well done. Some students are saying that they were studying German, although he's saying I was learning Germany. I think you were studying German language. So I appreciate that. Let's see what our friends are saying in the chat. They are saying that they are done writing it and time for us to proceed to the next sequence of moves. So we will go back to the game. Okay, we had reached this point, and now here let us see how white is going to respond. Is he just going to continue the capturing spree? Yes, he is. So e takes d6 and black took with the bishop. It always makes sense to take with this bishop, because then the bishop gets a very good diagonal instead of taking the pawn and getting an isolated pawn. That's not what you want. Also, never develop your queen shadowing the bishop. So that unless you want to castle long or something like that. So this capture indeed was the best. And so black took, and now white played knight f3. Well, this move looks obvious to me because clearly the threat is quite simple to understand. Black would have played queen h4 check, and after white blocks it, you may even sacrifice the queen. Queen takes g3, h takes g3, and bishop takes g3 is checkmate. Guys, I want you to understand this. So the move number 3 and 4, you have a checkmate threat. So I would probably play and show it to you. Let's give white a bad move. Let's say white is careless and white just moves some pawn on a3. Well, if white does that, then it's mate in 3 moves. So how does that happen? Well, the first move will be queen h4 check. See, exploiting that diagonal I was talking about that was exposed earlier. White has only one move, which is blocking the check with g3, and now you can sacrifice your queen. Queen takes g3 check, h takes g3, and bishop takes g3 is checkmate. So you have to be alert at all times. So after bishop makes the capture, there is this checkmate threat, and that is why white played knight f3. Now knight f3 does control this h4 square, so now that check is not possible. Let's go to our notepad to continue the game, because we actually are writing after every 2 moves, I believe, so we don't want to lag far behind. So we had written this much, and what happened after d6? Well, e takes d6 happened. White was happy to gobble up the pawn, and then bishop takes d6, and there was a checkmate threat. So knight f3 is very important. I showed you what would have happened if he would have played something else. And by the way, black's move, I'll write down here, it's very interesting. It is g5. g5. So you can write well in advance. The move by black is going to be g5. We'll come to the board to see that. Make sure you're writing it down. So make sure that you're writing it in the chat window. Let me know if you are done. Great. Let's see what people are saying in the chat window. Are our friends telling us that they are done? Yes, they are done. Fantastic. So let us go back to the game now. This was the game. But you don't see me. Where am I? There I am. So g5, I told you g5 was the move played by black, and this is a very interesting choice. So black has decided that white is not very alert about this diagonal, is not very keen about that. Let me exploit that and kick, sorry, not that. Let me kick this knight, because things are looking very serious onto the king side. Of course, the knight cannot take the pawn because it's well protected and guarded by the queen. And white saw that coming, so white played the move e4 with the intention that if you push the pawn, well, I am pushing the pawn, you take the knight, and I am taking the bishop. So I think the threats are all over. Okay, great work here. So far, it's so good. Black continued, but this is what I call about, say about initiative and tempo. So black continues his attack, and white says, yeah, that's why I had played e4. So you take my knight and I'll take your bishop. So what do you think happened here? Before that, have we played two more moves? We wrote till g5, white played e4, and now white has played this move, and black took the knight. So time for us to write down. Let's go to the notepad. Time for us to continue writing. The fifth move. So after g5, white played e4, black played g4. White was aware about that. So white, so not g4, in fact, black played g5 and g4, yeah, g4, yes. And after g4, white played the move e5, and what did black do? Black took, so g takes f3 happened. G takes f3. So please make sure that you are writing this down. Kshitij has anticipated a move after e5. He thinks queen e7, but black took the knight, Kshitij. Okay, so back to the game then. Okay, so what's happening here? After e5, black took the knight, white took the bishop, material looks balanced, and there it is. Black is ready with that check. Once you play this f4 move, this diagonal is always dangerous. I've always said that beginners should not exploit that diagonal at all. And now you have a check. Okay. Now the move here is quite obvious because the move is forced. So what is the forced move here? g3. The move is forced here. Nothing to think. Even if you had a billion hours, g3 is the move, and that is a forced move. So obviously no prizes for guessing that. g3 is the move. So let us look at the action after we stopped writing. So e takes d6 happened. E takes d6. And black played this check. White has played g3. And now it's a typical idea that after you get this open diagonal, you follow that up with the queen e4 check. This is just brilliant. Queen e4 check. So time for us to write down whatever has happened. I'm going to pull the notepad now. Beautiful sequence. We are going to study the entire game again. Don't worry about that. So I think we'll write move number 7 here. So what was move number 7, guys? I think the 7th move after g takes f3, he took on f3, right? After g takes f3, White took, so e takes d6 happened. So the bishop was indeed taken. And after that, queen h4 check. Sorry. And what was the way to save the check? Only one move, g3. And as you will see, always happening, after that h4 check, you always get this queen e4 check. So let me know if you are done writing these two moves. Please write this down. Damn interesting. People are done with it, I hope. Let's see what our friends are telling us in the chat. Yes, they are done. So immediately let's go back to the game. So we were on to this position where he blocked the check with g3, and then queen e4 check happened. And of course you cannot block with the queen, because then the pawn can just take the queen. So you don't want to do that. And if you block with the bishop, well, then pawn takes the bishop. So whatever comes on e2 will just be simply taken. So did white go for that? No, he played king f2. It's a very ambitious looking move. He doesn't want to give material at all. So king f2 happened. So let's get back. So queen e4 check, king f2. And shall I ask now for you to guess the next move? Okay, you should do that. I'll give you a couple of minutes. I'll start your countdown timer even. 2 minutes for you to calculate and share some line. It's black to play here. Come on. What do you think and how do you think black continued here? Hello, Atharva just joined. Atharva, didn't get your hello sir before 6 o'clock, so I assume you're a little late. Alright then. Not just the first move. I always say that. Not just the first move, the entire line. So Soumitra shared a line with us. It is below 1 minute now, so I will definitely pull up the chat window as well. There you go. So Soumitra has shared a line. He says queen e4 check, queen e4 check, king f2, knight f6, bishop h3, bishop takes h3. Okay, so Saurish is also saying that it should be queen, but what's the first move here? Queen d4 check, king takes f3, bishop g4 check, skewer and winning the queen. Okay. So there are some ideas. I'm going to show you what our students are sharing. They're saying, some of them are saying that it's queen d4 check. And after this check, when the king takes the pawn, it's bishop g4 check, winning the white queen. So majority of you think that that is what it is. Your time is up. And so let us get back to the board that we had. And time for me to reveal what happened. Indeed, queen d4 check was played. Congratulations. But let's look at the line. He did not take. White did not take the pawn. Obviously, you are right. If white goes ahead and takes the pawn, so let's say he did that, then bishop g4 is just very powerful. With the support of the queen, of course, it's a skewer and the queen will be lost. The square for the king will be king g2. It's not mate, but white will be heavily down in material. So white king decided to travel back. So king e1. Okay, so now what is the best continuation here? I will give you 2 minutes for you to give me the complete continuation after this 2 minutes. What happens now after king e1? King has gone back. Prajna, queen h4 check, never happened. Look at what you're typing. Queen h4, really? Let me show you where h4 is. But this one is h4. So Prajna, you didn't get the answer. I think what you got is overconfidence. Surely you got that, not the answer. Prajna is sharing some line with queen h4 check. No, not right. Don't just type the first move. I want the entire line here. What is the best continuation for black? Seniors, Vihang is with us, right? Vihang is saying f2 check, king e2, bishop g4 is check or checkmate. Some people are typing it as check, some people are typing it as checkmate. I'm now going to pull the chat window in front of you, see what your friends are saying. f2 check, king e2, bishop g4, checkmate. Even Jay thinks so. But Gaukar doesn't think it is checkmate. He's just typed bishop g4. He doesn't even think it is check. Okay, 30 seconds more if there is anything else. So Chinmay thinks it's f2 check, king e2, bishop g4, checkmate. Is that forced? Another 15 seconds before I either correct you or congratulate you. Prajna, do you agree with the answers people are sharing here? Or you still want queen h4? Okay, then the time is up and back to the board. So guys, do you think you are right? You are 100% right. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Brilliant. It is made in just 2 moves. So let me actually execute it over the board and show it to you. It's forced. The answer is f2 check. King e2 is forced, can't take the pawn, supported by the queen. And now bishop g4, which we were going to bring anyway to g4. And it is indeed checkmate. There's no need for us to take the queen. Will not be needed. It's already game over. What a beautiful game this is, that actually highlights why that particular diagonal should not be exposed early. If you are an experienced player, yes, there are players who play the birds opening, but as a beginner you should avoid that, because if you're playing with someone who has some technical knowledge about the openings, then you will find yourself in deep trouble. So this was the game I wanted to show you in the birds defense or birds attack, not defense, birds opening or birds attack. Now let us go back. So queen h4 check, king f2. Okay, and after king f2 it was queen d4 check. We are going to go back to our notepad, by the way, so we have got to write down the moves. So what happened after queen d4 check? King e1. Otherwise, if king would have taken the pawn, then would have lost the queen after bishop g4 check. We saw that. The pawn check was so important that you all got. I'm proud of you for that. f2 check. And after this f2 check, king e2 was forced. And then bishop g4. Bishop g4 was checkmate and 1-0. So let me bring the notepad and you should copy this game. Had 11 moves, guys, 11 moves. Make sure you copy this down. Going to wait for a minute before we proceed to our next game. Yes, Vihang have corrected that. I hope you are done writing. Let me pull up what our friends are saying in the chat. Yes, it has been corrected to 0-1 and people are done writing it. So I think it is time for us to proceed to our next game. Here we go. Okay guys, the next game that we are going to study, well, we are going to have white to play now. So I'm going to flip the board. And of course, I'm going to clear everything. I'm going to clear everything from the notepad, and I hope you are also on a fresh page, ready to write down the next game. Now in the next game guys, white opened with e4 and black played knight f6, the Alekhine defense. Now I am showing you this trick, although I play the Alekhine defense a lot, so I am trying to actually show you how not to fall into this. White will win here, but black had a good position and black should have played better. So I will show you this game from the white's perspective, then we'll flip the board and imagine we are playing the Alekhine defense, because we actually played the Alekhine defense a lot. So in fact, it's my favorite opening is black. So I'm going to show you this game as white, and then of course is black. So white is going to win because black will not handle this attack very well. e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, knight f3. You should, and by the way, if anyone is playing Alekhine defense against you, you should totally try this attack. And black's move is d6, which is a perfect Alekhine example main line. In fact, white plays d4, but knight f3 is also very popular. Okay, so let's write it down in the notepad. After e4, black employs the Alekhine defense. So you have e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, and then instead of the regular d4, you have knight f3 by white, and black plays d6. So I'm going to pull the notepad and you should copy the moves. Of course, this is game number 2. So change the header as well. And as usual, let me know in the chat after you're done. Amazing. This is a game where black should have won. The amazing thing is that this is a game that black should have won, but if black players don't know this attack, well, they'll often fall for this. And I've seen the players with Alekhine defense as their favorite opening choice fall into this, unless of course they studied this attack. So people are telling me in the chat that they are done. Well, there you go, the confirmation. And so we are going to go back to the game. Okay, so bishop c4, this is where the attack begins, and white straight away intends to bring that bishop to c4 in order to be ready for an attack on the king's side. And in this game, black played correctly. Well, black did go to b6, which is a correct retreat, not just saving the knight, but also now black starts to attack the white bishop. So I like that retreat move, and it's absolutely okay to do that. Now it is here that your opponent can start the attack. So before we start the attack and learn how to save yourself if you are playing black pieces here, we will write down these moves. So what we wrote last was d6. So bishop c4 and knight b6. Let's write that down. So what we have is bishop c4 and knight b6, and it is here that white will start something you should be careful about. Just one move to write, so I'm not going to wait long. Bishop c4 and knight b6, that's it. I think you are done. Let me go straight to the board now. So why do I want you to study this? Because this happens. Bishop takes f7 check. And believe it, let me come on cam to say this. Believe it or not, often white players will try this, because this is a very common trap. You'll not believe. You try to play on leeches, the Alakine defense. Of the 10 Alakine defense games you play, you would have at least this played 3 or 4 times. There are so many lines, but only 3 or 4 out of those will be with this line. Okay, out of all the variations you have in Alakine defense, it's that popular. So my point is, after white makes this sacrifice on f7, black is winning. You heard me right. Black is winning after this sacrifice, but black has to be careful how to handle this. That is why I'm showing you this game. Okay. So what happens is, let me go back to the game. If black doesn't handle it well, then it is going to be a problem. First of all, black should take the bishop. I repeat, black should take the bishop, which happened in the game. I'm happy. So what happened then? Knight g5 check. And important to know that the retreat on g8 here is the correct retreat. I don't want you to go to e8. That's also, I mean, not losing, but simply you are a piece up and you should play perfectly. King g8. It's a very important move. Okay, very careful you should be. Now what? Black played king g8, so I'm still happy the way he's playing here. Queen f3, and the idea is very simple. White has set up a checkmate threat here. Queen f7 will be checkmate. What is the way to stop this? I'm going to give you a minute. Just go ahead and type it. 1 minute, guys. I'm not going to give you any more than a minute. Your time starts. What is the way? Type it in the chat to stop this checkmate. Queen e8. People are saying queen e8. Saurish agrees. Jay is saying queen e8. Vihang says queen e8. Is there any other way to stop that mate on f7? And if there is no other way to stop that mate on f7, that means that queen e8 is almost forced for black. Almost forced. So, very careful. Queen e8 is going to be played by black, so it cannot be checkmate. Type correctly. Time is up, and let me now tell you that what you were thinking is absolutely right. So indeed, the way to save this is queen e8, which black played. I'm happy because I'm an Alakine defense player. I'm happy black is doing well here. And now the e6 push. Well, this push is so important from white's perspective if he has sacrificed the piece. Now look at the tension here. This is incredible. So now, believe it or not, the threat is, you should see the threat. f7 is still, it's dangerous. But, let me come on cam to say this. If you put this position in the engine, black is winning. Computer will easily give black -2. You know, -2 is very good for black. So it looks seemingly dangerous from the black's perspective, but actually black is winning here. Black is -2, which means the position is good for white. Okay, so what happens here? Why am I then saying what happened here? Well, black played an inaccurate move. In fact, he committed a blunder here. He tried to chase the knight away. So what happens here now? I will give you a minute to type down the line. Please type the entire line. What happens now? White to play And what will white do? Type properly the entire thing in a minute. What happens now? White to play here. Okay, you have last 8 seconds. So let me pull up the chat and see if our friends have got it. They all, I think, have got it. All. Time is up. They are saying queen f7 check, queen takes f7, and e takes f7 is checkmate with a pawn. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. All of you are right. That's exactly what happened in the game. So let me just go ahead and execute it. Queen f7 check. No other move. Notice how he pushed the pawn, but knight still has this h7 square covered. That's the thing to notice. Okay, so queen takes f7 and black got checkmated with a pawn. Black got checkmated with a pawn while playing the Alekhine defense. You all know how bad I felt when I saw this game. In fact, such games are very popular. I've told you this bishop sacrifice on f7 is very popular. So I was really sad for black having lost like that. I promised you one thing. We will look at it from the black side, and I'm going to tell you how you as black will handle this. Okay, so let's go back to the board, and here we are. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the board. We're going to go all the way back, but hey, I think we should write down the game. So let us do that. Let us first write down the game. I suppose, guys, that's a better thing to do. Let's write down the game first. So we have the notepad now in front of us. So knight b6 was played, and it is here that bishop was sacrificed on f7, and you should take that. After that, you have knight g5 check. The correct retreat is indeed g8. What happens after that? You have the queen f3 move. The only way to stop that is stop the mate is the queen e8 move. The e6 push. Black played h6, which I feel was a blunder. And after that, you have queen f7 check. Queen takes f7. Guys, this is a very important notice for those who don't write the notation properly. Queen f7 check and queen takes f7 are different. And you have e takes f7 checkmate with the pawn. Well, and this time I can safely say that Prashna, sign language, what's that? I'm not, I cannot comprehend this language. Okay, fine. Anyway, good try, good try. So we will probably write it down fast, and then I will proceed to study how to handle it as black. If you are black, you must know how to handle this. And Prajna, make sure you write in the notepad properly, not using your sign language, because someday later you might yourself not understand what you have written. Let us pull up the chat window, see what our friends are saying. Yeah, they are saying that they are done. So time for us to go back to the board. And now I'm going to just plain and simple show you what to do, how to handle it as black. Okay, so I hope you're ready. e4, knight f6. Your opponent will play e5, you play knight d5. Knight f3, you play d6. Opponent will challenge your knight. But here there are two correct moves. Either you play e6 or knight b6, which was actually played in the game. So then the bishop sacrifice, you should accept that sacrifice, no problem. Knight g5 check, indeed you should retreat to g8, and after queen f3 check, queen e8 is forced, and after this e6 push, where all the attention is focused on this f7 square, it is here that black has to continue with the winning move. Winning move. White is already better, I've told you that. He has to play one correct move and white will realize that he is not winning. His sacrifice has not worked at all. Do you see that? The correct move here black must play is not h6, which happened in the game. That's a blunder. It's g6. The moment black plays g6, now there is no threat of checkmate, so there's no point in sacrificing the queen now, because after queen takes f7 and let's say, well, this pawn takes and you have g7 and white has already sacrificed his bishop, so white will then play knight to f7, at least trying to get the rook. But then after a move like bishop g7, after knight takes h8, bishop takes h8, white is black is definitely better. So the winning move is g6, and I hope you got it before I showed it to you. This is incredible. That's why I actually like this game. So in the chat window, kindly let me know if you're ready to go to game number 3. Are you ready to proceed to game number 3 for today? And remember g6. So in fact, in the notepad, you should write down that black should play what move, guys? Should play g6. Black will be so much better. So let me take you to the notepad, guys. In the meanwhile, I've added that g6, the move number 8 was a blunder by black. Black was winning, but then he played h6 and there was checkmate, so it became a miniature where black should have gone on to win the game. So g6 was better. You can add that in your notepad. And let's see what our friends are saying in the chat. Yes, Saumitra, you will have GG all over. Well, by the way, the full form of GG is good game. So in the chat, people are saying they're done. Yes, and GG stands for good game. And you are ready, so we are going to proceed to the next game. So this as well is going to be from the white side. So I've flipped the board. Let me bring myself in the frame. Now you see me in the bottom right. Let me also get ready with my notepad. So make sure that you are ready with your notepad. Make sure that you're on a fresh page with game number 3. Game number 3, and I am ready. So the game that I'm going to show you now again is from the white's perspective, e4 and d5. I am going to give you a minute to type down the correct name of this opening with the correct spelling. Do that. Let's see how many people are able to type this. The first 5 will be the winner. First 5 people. What is the name of this opening? You have another 45 seconds. What is the name of this opening? You have the first 5 people to do that will win. Saumitra says that it is Scandinavian defense. 1 entry. 30 more seconds. 25 now in fact. Vihang is saying Scandinavian. Prachi Mukadam. Okay, that's Rudra Mukadam in fact. So Vihang, Saumitra, Mohit, Jay and Sauresh are the winners. I said first 5. I said first 5 are going to be the winners, so those are the winners, and it is indeed the Scandinavian. So white took the pawn, and of course black took it back. Okay, what's the status? How many moves? 2 moves are over. I think time for us to go to the notepad and let us write it down. So white opened the game with e4 and black played d5, and the second move of white was e takes d5, and black took with the queen. We are ready to go to move number 3. Write it very fast so that we can proceed. Let me know in the chat if as soon as you are done with this. Yes, people in the chat window have already started telling me that they are done, because only 2 moves to write, should not take you long. So let's get back to the board quickly. So knight c3 happened. This is initiative and tempo. Indeed, is attack on the queen. Black went all the way back. Very common line. And this gets interesting from here. Okay. Knight c6, knight f3. So we had written until this move. So knight c3, queen goes back, d4 and knight c6. Let's write this much. So after the queen goes cap goes back, knight c3, queen goes back, and the pawn. So knight c3 attacking the queen. Queen goes all the way back. Then you have the move d4 and knight c6 is played. Make sure you write it down and let me know in the chat that you're done. Great, only 2 moves at a time, so that means we can proceed in a very swift manner. I'm straight away going to go to the board again to continue the game. So what happened after knight c6 was knight f3. Now bishop g4, pinning the knight to the queen. d5, black played knight to e5, attacking the pinned knight one more time, so wants to destroy the pawn structure. And now you should try to calculate the line after this. I am going to give you all 2 minutes for this. Not just the first move. I want you to tell me the line after this. How should white continue now? So what is your opinion? Now you have under a minute, so I am definitely going to bring the chat where there are all sort of irrelevant comments about the guy from Greece not with us today. I see one by Jay, which is h3. Well, Jay, you think that it's h3? Or knight takes e5? So h3 is suggested by many people. Bishop e2, as Mohit says, bishop e2 to unpin. Okay, no answers from the seniors. The lecture, mind you, is meant for the A batch guys. I'm a little surprised, I would say. Chinmay says bishop e2 and your time is up. What happened to my seniors? Where are you? Well, I'm surprised. I thought that the seniors contribute. So h3 and bishop e2 are the answers that I received. Wrong answer. The correct answer actually is knight takes knight. Knight takes e5. That's why it's so important. By the way, before we see that, I'm going to pull the notepad to write down this much. Copy down the moves. We should be until move number 6. Because what I asked you now will be move number 7. So let's come until reach the move 6. Let's write down properly before we study further. Please write it down. Let me know in the chat as soon as you're done writing. Please write it down so that I can tell you why knight takes e5 is such a good move here. And you should keep these games in your mind, guys. Because when the time comes, you should know what you had studied and how it works. What works and what doesn't. Like in the last game as well, black was winning, but he played h6 and he lost. Are you done writing? Great. Now I'm going to be on cam to share this important tip with your important point with you. What I'm saying is that you should study these games. So now I'm going to show you knight takes e5 and you should know that yes, we will lose the queen. But nobody shared this line with me. So you should remember these games whenever you play on leeches or tournaments. When the opportunity is there, you should grab it with both hands because you have studied them. So let me show you. I'm sure you will enjoy this. So the way that Vaidya continued from this is knight takes e5 exclamation, bishop takes d1, and now bishop b5 check. You cannot put the queen to block the check, will be lost for free because you have the bishop and the knight both attacking d7. So c6, d takes c6. Of course, now there are all sorts of threats. There is going to be this discovered check either with the c takes b7 or simply c7 advance. This is incredible threat. What black played in this game, of course, is black thought that after pawn moves either to c7 or takes on b7, the check is going to be by bishop, right? Let me get rid of all of this. The check is going to be by bishop. So black thought maybe he should go a6. Very important. And now we will write this much. So we were on to this move. So knight takes e5, bishop takes d1, and bishop b5 check. So let's pull up the notepad immediately so that we can proceed. Knight takes e5, bishop immediately took the queen, and then what happened was bishop b5 check. That's why there was a sacrifice. c6 is the way black blocked the check. Then you have d takes c6. Let's write that much. And after that you have a6 by black. Please copy these 3 moves. Soumitra has a clear opinion. In the chat is saying queens are overrated. Well, depends on the position. Queens are mighty powerful, but the checkmate is the ultimate objective. So let's see what our friends are saying in the chat. They're saying done. You can see Saumitra's comment that queens are overrated. Well, yes, sometimes they are, because winning is the objective. Having your queen on the board and losing is not fun. Okay, but now let's say we get back to the board and this was the position. Black has just played the move a6. And why has black done that, by the way? Black is saying that you're going to check regardless of where the pawn moves. The discovered check is going to be with the bishop. So if there is a discovered check, black will take the bishop. And now I'm going to start your countdown so that you can tell me how should white continue from this position. You have 2 minutes. Don't type the first move. I want you to type the complete line, please. Jay has, I believe, shared the first line. When the time is under a minute, I will pull up the chat window as well to show you what the others are saying. Yes, let me pull up the chat window now. You have another 50 seconds, but you have got some lines. Jay is saying c7 check, a takes b5, c takes d8 is equal to queen check. Saurish is saying c7 check, queen d7, bishop takes d7 checkmate. Well, that can happen. And Prajna has given a great reply, okay. Another 20 seconds and indeed we will find out who is correct, what will happen. Well, Kavish is saying the little champion, c7 check, a takes b5, d takes e8 equal to queen check. Of course, if queen blocks it, it is checkmate. Again, Prajna's epic reply is same. Time is up. So here we go. The correct answer indeed is yes, c7. It's a check, and if queen blocks the check, bishop takes d7 is a beautiful checkmate supported by the knight, and the pawn guards the d8 square. And let's say if a takes b5, for which black played a6, then you have c takes d8 equal to check. And of course you don't want to take with the king because then there will be further loss with a fork. So you don't want that, so you'll have to take with the rook. And after you do that, knight takes d1 and white is a clear piece up. So what happened in fact in the game was that after the move, which was c7 check, which I believe is the 10th move, where after a6 you have c7 check, actually black resigned and you have 1-0. So let us bring the note pair to quickly jot down. It's the one move, but I've showed you all the variations and white is a clear pawn up. So all you need to write now is c7 check and you would have successfully defeated black because he just resigned. And of course, if queen d7, bishop takes d7 is really a pretty mate. Okay, and now let's get back to the camera. So we studied 3 games today. That we are almost done here. It's 7. I have a suggestion that you should share the link of our chess lectures with all your friends who love chess. They should have some liking for chess, because if they are getting bored at home with nothing to do, they can join us. And if they are interested in chess, I will say that again, We are going to meet next on Sunday now for the lecture for the B batch. So A batch guys can join, but then you can invite your friends, and especially those who are beginners at the beginner level, they could join us on Sunday. Up until that, I will take your leave, and it was an enjoyable lecture. I hope you have jotted down all the 3 games. They were pretty indeed. Up until next time, stay home, stay safe during this COVID-19 pandemic, and bye bye.